Hi, my name is Neil Howe. I'm president and co-founder of Life Course Associates. I've been speaking and writing about generations for the last 20 years. I recently came out with a book, Millennials in the Workplace. It's about today's rising generation of workers. I've also recently teamed up with the New Haven Consulting Group to help provide vital training on how to get the most out of millennials. So what do all you boomer and Xer managers out there think about millennials? Well, I've been speaking to a lot of you, and really the impression I get is you don't think much of them. I hear complaints about everything from short attention spans and flip-flops and Facebook breaks and poor grammar. According to a recent Pew survey, most older generations think millennials are deficient in practically everything. Moral values, respect for others, certainly the work ethic. Well, I think a lot of this across-the-board negativity is overblown for two reasons. One is just that it's factually wrong. This generation is actually responsible for some enormous positive trends. A record decline in the youth crime rate, a decline in teen pregnancy and abortion, huge declines in youth tobacco use and alcohol consumption, and also rises in voter participation rates, community service, educational attainment. But there's another problem I have with negativity, which is really a lot more relevant for your bottom line. If you choose to see today's young people mainly in terms of their faults, in terms of damage control, you will never be able to lead them. You won't have a clue about their strengths, about what motivates them, and so you'll never be able to harness any of that. Today's young people are not just inadequate replicas of yourself. They are essentially a different generation, and like all generations, they're different because they have a different location in history. Our Millennials in the Workplace training can help provide this perspective to your organization. You'll learn, for example, that boomers entered adulthood and got their first jobs during the age of Aquarius. You'll learn that Generation X grew up as children during the age of Aquarius. And you'll learn that millennials came along after all of that social and family turmoil of the 1960s and 70s was over. And not surprisingly, this different location in history has shaped them very differently as a generation. Millennials are pressured and programmed. They're networked to their peers and they're bonded to their parents. They want structure and they're looking for risk-free long-term career paths. Our Millennials in the Workplace training can help you leverage these traits, these individual generational traits in positive ways. Let me give you a few examples. Well, we know that millennials want structure, so we can teach you to leverage that. Yes, millennials are a high-maintenance generation. They crave praise. They're feedback junkies. And they're all of those things because they don't want to disappoint. They want to get it right the first time. So when you offer them and make them accomplish challenging tasks, you have to give them full instructions and benchmarks against which they can constantly assess their progress and make sure they're doing it the right way. Millennials are into teamwork, so we'll help you leverage that. You gotta hire them in teams, organize them in teams. You can even compensate them in teams. The whole era of cutthroat youth competition, epitomized by Donald Trump's The Apprentice, that era is coming to a close. Instead, give these young people the networked IT to allow them to help each other on the job, and allow them to see your workplace as part of a larger team, as part of a regional or national community in which they play a positive role. Millennials really want to see themselves as serving a greater good. Millennials also have long time horizons. We can teach you to leverage that. Surveys show that millennials overwhelmingly prefer to have one or two employers over their lifetime, maybe just one perfect employer, than to have many employers. A lot of boomer and Xer managers still don't understand this. They think interning is a joke. They don't take mentorship seriously. And when new millennials come to them for jobs, they don't offer them long-term career paths, and a schedule at which they can expect to learn new skills. And it's amazing that these are the same employers who, after most of their millennials have quit, 12 months or 18 months after they're hired, they're the first ones to say, "See, I told you, these kids just live for today." The millennial generation is arriving. The stakes are huge. Over the next decade, those companies that get them right will have a huge advantage over those companies that don't. Let Millennials in the Workplace training teach you how.